someday soon, if I lose my job, because there are no cancers, there are no seniors, I think I would be fine with that. I think I'd probably be able to find I'll find something.
That was Bertha Fajardo, the San Francisco Giants manager of community and family programs. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. Every week on this podcast, we bring you writers, photographers, musicians, and other San Franciscans talking about living, working, and doing their thing here. It's a way to get to know your neighbors. And we have a special announcement for you this week. We're wrapping up the first season of the podcast next week. To celebrate the end of Season 1 and to kick off Season 2, we're hosting a 2-day event in November called 2 Storied Nights. The first night will be an art opening, and the second night will be a spoken word and music event with DJs, dance, and beer and wine. Tickets are up now on Eventbrite, and we'll be releasing more details in the coming weeks. Welcome to episode 48, part 1. In this podcast, Bertha talks about growing up a baseball fan, thanks mostly to her dad and uncle's love of the game. She started working for the Giants in 1997 and has been with the club ever since. Here's Bertha.
My dad was a big fan of baseball in general. He really, was a big Giants fan, but also he was a fan of the game in general. So whoever was playing, great at the time, hey, let's go. He offered us the opportunity to go to games in the summer, so both Giants and A's games. So there's where I developed my love for the game. And one of my brothers was an A's fan. The rest of us were Giants fans. So we got to see Tito, Fuentes, Vida Blue, Raleigh Fingers, those guys come up and, cheer for them and, see them play the game.
Yeah. Were you in school at the time?
I was in grammar school.
So summers were a big deal.
So the summers were a big deal. So summers meant going to Giants games, day games, because night games were a little too cold. And so we would go to A's games in the evening because the weather was always cool, warmer. Mm-hmm. So that was our summers, and it, kind of grew into me. And, as I was growing up, I would come to games with my friends. Mm-hmm. After, we were like, I don't want to do anything with the folks. Yeah. Now it's time to go with our friends. So we would go to games in the summer, sometimes in the summer on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Then school started and, the baseball season would be over anyway. So, sure. But it was a lot of fun.
When you were going to school going to games as a teenager, were you paying attention to the games?
I was, because my dad really made us pay attention to the games. Yeah. So it wasn't around just sitting around or whatever. We had to pay attention to the game. Yeah. And then we had to, respect the team who won because they played better, not because, they're our home team. I mean, it had a little to do with that. But, my dad was like, you're going to cheer for the team who played really good, who played well that day, So we had to make we had to pay attention, at least when we were with our parents.
Right.
As I got older and we came with friends, it was, where can we get a hot dog?
Yeah.
Where can we get nachos or an icy? That was pretty much our that was what we looked forward to.
It's always to be expected.
Exactly.
I mean, teenagers, the attention spans are all over the place.
It all changes as you get older.
But then I'm guessing you came back as you got older. You came back to going to games and
going to games
for the game.
Yes, going to games as a fan and going to games as a member of the Giants is a little different. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of, you're of course cheer for the team, but you also have a job to do. Mm-hmm. So those days at Candlestick when we used to have a lot more day games. We'd go down there. It afforded us to go watch the game during our lunch hour get a couple innings in and get back to our desk. Nice. And, we could do that here, but, there's just so much going on now that you just don't have enough time.
Yeah. And more responsibility for you.
More responsibility, absolutely. My dad and my uncles would come to games they went over to, before Candlestick, it was,
Seal Stadium.
Seal Stadium.
Yeah.
So they would go there, and then, of course, Candlestick was built, so they'd go to Candlestick. My dad was of the generation of the Felipe Alous, all the Alou brothers, so he was able to see them play out in the outfield. Tito, all of these greats my dad was part of. And so it was great when I when I started working here, he was like, "Oh my God, you're part of, our history of our community."
Yeah.
And as a fan, he's, so we got it a lot from him. But my dad was, Felipe and that generation.
Yeah.
And so when Felipe became our manager in 2003 after Dusty Baker left, it was great. My father was very excited because, again, it was that generation and somebody who he watched play when he was younger.
I'm sure you got to meet him.
Oh, yes. And then to see, have him come back and see him again all these years later, I think was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Because you Giants have done it all, really.
Really have. I mean, but still, as fans, we're still spoiled.
Yeah, we are.
Come on.
And then,
third place.
Exactly. And some of these kids nowadays, they don't know who Felipe was. They were probably, some of them obviously weren't born yet when Felipe played. I mean, or they were just little, toddlers probably when Felipe was our manager. And this generation now that's kind of, older now and, really getting into the baseball and so forth. So it's fun. I mean, even Bobby Bonds and some of the folks remember, some of our fans will remember him. And he's not just also Barry Bonds' father, but he was also, part of Giants history.
A very good player in his own right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And, as Barry was being honored 2 weeks ago, he did talk he talked a lot about his father and how he's, missing him and how he's sorry he's not here to be part of all this, but he is. I think he is. I think everyone is. All of our Giants that have played both and all our fields are still here. In many ways, they're good ghosts, but they're good ghosts to have because you could feel their energy. Yep. So I started with the Giants. My Giants career started in 1997. So we were at Candlestick for 2 years, and then in 2000 we opened this beautiful ballpark known as AT&T Park, but had two other names before that. So.
Yes, it did.
But now looking at everything, I sometimes sit back and I think, wow, this happened. And example was when we had Barry Bonds' jersey retirement just 2 weeks ago, and looking at all of the home run ticker flashbacks, and I thought, wow, I was actually here for most of those that were here played at the ballpark.
Hundreds, literally.
And not only his, but also other memorable moments. Jonathan Sanchez's no-hitter, Matt Cain's perfect game.
Were you here for both?
I was actually here for Jonathan Sanchez's. Matt Cain's, I was home on my couch, but really, watching it.
Yeah.
I remember texting Chelsea Cain, his wife, on we were working on a project or a fundraiser. We were just kind of bouncing off ideas, and as the game was going, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to let you go because I'm getting nervous. And I'm sure you're getting nervous too for your husband. So,
and you didn't want to be the jinx.
And I didn't want to be the jinx because yes, exactly. Because I was distracting his wife. And so I, look at it later and think, wow, what another memorable milestone that we've had, to record in not only our memory book, but also in everything. Yeah. It's been pretty fun, watching all that. And then it's also to the times where we're not doing that great. We're not, we're losing. And, they're just as memorable too. It's another season. You see the guys battling, trying to stay healthy and, and, play the game. But sometimes, it's just not meant to be. Yeah. There's a lot that our guys do, and that's great. It's a lot of these guys have been touched, their families, or they have been touched by cancer, HIV, losing a parent, a friend, a sibling. So it's great to be able to have their support as well as their wives and sometimes our parents too. We get to meet with these guys in February when they come out for Fan Fest. We don't have a lot of time, but we do our homework. We do read up on what they, coming from former teams, what they like to do, and we speak with them for a few minutes. Say, hey, we'll reach out to you and we'll spend some time with you in Scottsdale in Arizona when we go down and kind of go one-on-one. And they let us know what they want to do, what they've been working with and what programs they've been supporting. So we just kind of link them up, once the season starts. But, a lot of our guys are very supportive of all of our programs, support our Junior Giants program. It's great to see that. During the season, we have clinics. We've got, we're going to schools, we're going to hospitals, and all of them are, love to help out, and like I said, some of them have lost a family or a friend. Jeff Samardzija lost his mother to breast cancer very young. And so he's always there to help, to support, to meet with children, to meet with families who've, it's great to see that. And over the years, we've had not only our, players now, but also our alumni. Orlando Cepeda, our Hall of Famer, our baby bull, who's also a resident of the Bay Area, have suffered a heart attack, this off season. We didn't think we were going to have him with us. And, through the positive prayer and just Orlando being overall healthy, is back, and we're slowly integrating him back to the community, and we're very blessed to have him.
Yeah.
And, always, one of our Hall of Famers that was always, busy, and age is not, like they say, age is nothing but a number. And it surely is, because some of these alumni that we have I think they're in better shape than most of us. Yeah. And they're, in their 80s. Yeah. And to see them out there supporting and, signing autographs and meeting with the kids or seniors, it's great. They, it keeps them, Orlando says it keeps them young at heart. And I truly believe that. So, we keep them just as busy as well. And, the programs that they like to support. Orlando supports everything across the board. And there's a senior center across the street. So they have Meals on Wheels. It provides meals to these seniors, and very active, very happy seniors. And Orlando's joined the cause and has been over there to deliver meals, and become very good friends with some of the seniors there. And they come out now sometimes to watch the game with them as his guests. Great. So it's a lot of fun to see them.
I was going to ask if you ever see, when he goes to visit, are you
yes.
ever there to see?
We are there. Yes, the reaction, the friendships that are formed, not only with them but with us. And supporting these organizations. And we bring our photographers, we bring our camera crew, because a lot of times we like to incorporate a story behind it, and follow up a year later or what have you, and see that the friendship, what we formed, as far as a friendship, and awareness, because that gets our word out and gets our fans out, and having them out and helping and contributing in some way. So right. That's our job. This year was our 25th anniversary of partnering up with Intelligent Care Foundation, and that was one of the great memories that sticks in my head, because it was my second season with the Giants, and I moved over to community relations full time, and we were doing our AIDS Awareness Day, and kind of all the logistics that go with it. And I remember my responsibility that our day that we had it was meeting with the kids from Camp Sunburst, which is a camp for children who have HIV/AIDS. Okay. And I thought, these kids are probably not going to live to be, an adult, or they're going to have all these challenges. And, I'm happy to report that from what I understand, a lot of these kids are thriving now, and adults. And so we've come a long way. And, with HIV, cancer awareness, some of these things and some of these causes that you really, are fighting for, because they affect your fans. It's actually affected some of our front office staff too. We've lost some staffers to cancer, to heart disease. And it's, we are a family. I mean, I have to say that I spend more time with my colleagues than I do my own family. So it's tough. Yeah. It's really emotional. But we're here to raise awareness and to see what we can do ourselves to prevent, families or friends to feel, be in the positions we have. So my thing is just, it brings me a lot of, joy to be able to support these causes. Awesome. Because I don't know, I could be afflicted with something. So, it's great to be able to do that. And we've had a lot of our players to support as well, and their wives. So, we'll see, later on. We hope that it's someday soon, if I lose my job, because there are no cancers, there are no seniors, I think I would be fine with that. I think I'd probably be able to find I'll find something. Yeah. But if it means losing my job because we've cured cancers, or we've cured homelessness, or we've cured, I think I would be fine with that. because that means one less person or people suffering. To me, it's more of a, it's more than a job. It's memories, it's friendships, it's being able to put my mark on a program or a memory. It's so much. I look back at it now and think about it sometimes. I'm thinking, I've been here 21 years and I've been able to work with some great folks and, come up with these great ideas and for events and for, awareness days. And that's pretty great, especially when we have anniversaries of our partnerships with some of these organizations. Mm-hmm. I look at it now and some of these organizations are, hey, we're close to finding a cure to this or to that, cystic fibrosis. They are on a platform of finding a cure now for. Wow. So for me to say, wow, I was able to see that. I was able to be part of that. That's pretty great. That's what I love about what I do.
Is it a dream job?
Yes, it is a job. It's hard work. It requires a lot of walking around and a lot of detail, and like any other job.
A lot of hustle,
but it's a lot of fun too, because when I'm running around, I could kind of like put my head down and look in and see what's happening on the field and just know that it's a game, but baseball's changed a lot. A lot of the sports have changed. It's in many ways now, but baseball's always going to be fun.
Check back Thursday for part 2 from Bertha Fajardo. Music for this episode is by Otis McDonald, aka Joe Bigale. Film photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. You can follow Storied San Francisco on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our website, which has all the episodes and a store where you can help support the podcast by buying some of our stuff, is storiedsf.com. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. Send comments and suggestions to storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.